us discuss about acoustic neuroma. Acoustic neuroma is also called eighth nerve tumor. Eighth nerve tumor. As the name itself indicates, it is the tumor arising from eighth cranial nerve. Okay, it is a tumor arising from eighth cranial nerve, or it is also called neurolymphoma. It is also called neurolymphoma, or it is also called vestibular schwannoma, or it is also called vestibular schwannoma. So it has got four names, right? The first name is acoustic neuroma, second one is eighth nerve tumor, third one is neurolymphoma, fourth one is vestibular schwannoma. These are the four different names for the tumor. Clear? Now let's see what is this tumor. As the name itself indicates, it is the tumor arising from eighth cranial nerve. Let's first understand what is this eighth cranial nerve. So if we take this eighth cranial nerve, it arises from brainstem, right? It arises from brain stem. Then it enters into cerebral cerebello-pontine angle. Sorry, cerebello-pontine angle. That means it is the space between pons and cerebellum. You should remember this, right? It is the space between cerebellum and pons. Okay, first it arises from brainstem, then it enters into cerebello-pontine angle, then it enters into internal auditory canal, then it enters into internal auditory canal, right? Then it supplies ear. Clear? These are the this is the course of eighth cranial nerve. Clear? First it arises from brainstem, then it enters into cerebellopontine angle, then into internal auditory canal, then into ear. In the internal auditory canal, we have two branches for that nerve. What are the two branches? Let's see. So in the internal auditory canal, we have cochlear branch, we have cochlear branch and vestibular branch, right? So this eighth cranial nerve has got two branches. One is vestibular branch, other one is cochlear branch. See, okay. Now we'll go deep into this tumor, right? As I told you, this is the tumor arising from eighth cranial nerve, right? And it is very slow growing tumor. It is slow growing tumor. Okay. If you take microscopic structure, this tumor it consists of spindle shaped cells. It consists of spindle shaped cells. In these spindle shaped cells, if take nuclei, how does this nuclei look like? This nuclei is rod shape. Rod shape. Okay, and these cells are arranged in polysates. Polysates. Okay, so this is slow growing tumor, and if take microscopic structure, the cells are spindle shaped cells with rod shaped nuclei, and these cells are arranged in polysates. Clear? Now this is about the microscopic structure. Okay, now let's go deep into the deep into the uh, deep into the tumor. As I told you, it arises from brainstem, then to cerebellopontine angle, then to internal auditory canal. Clear? First, as I told you, in the internal auditory canal, it has got two branches, right? So this tumor can arise from either cochlear branch or from vestibular branch, right? But most of the times this tumor arises from squamous cells of vestibular branch. Okay, it arises from squamous cells of vestibular branch. Rarely it can also arise from cochlear branch. Okay, when the tumor is in the internal auditory canal, when the tumor is in internal auditory canal, what are the symptoms that we can see? First, before going to that, we have to understand first the tumor is seen in the internal auditory canal. Then if the size increases, then it going to cerebellopontine angle, right? Cerebellopontine angle. If the size increases further, then it going to, then it pushes the brainstem and then to cerebellum, and it causes, then ultimately it causes rise in intracranial pressure, right? So when the tumor is in internal auditory canal, it causes pressure symptoms on nerve, right? So we can see cochlear symptoms and vestibular symptoms at this stage. When the tumor is in internal auditory canal, we can see cochlear symptoms and vestibular symptoms. Clear? What are the cochlear symptoms that you can see? So the symptoms of cochlear or cochlear nerve are sensorineural deafness, okay, and we can also see tinnitus. Okay, these are the features. And one more important feature of this tumor is there is difficulty in understanding speech. Difficulty in understanding. This difficulty in understanding is disproportionate, or you can say out of proportion, to Puton audiometry. You can Puton audiometry, right? And this is the characteristic feature, right? So what is the character feature of acoustic neuroma? It is difficulty in understanding speech out of proportion to Puton audiometry, right? Difficulty in understanding speech out of proportion to Puton audiometry. Clear? This is the characteristic symptom. So what are the cochlear symptoms? Sensorineural deafness, tinnitus, and difficulty in understanding. Then what are the symptoms of vestibular symptoms? In vestibular symptoms, what we can get is imbalance. Okay, imbalance. Okay, so these are the symptoms seen when the tumor is in internal auditory canal. So in the when the tumor is in internal auditory canal, what are the symptoms that you can see? You can see the symptoms of cochlear nerve and symptoms of vestibular. In cochlear symptoms, what you can see? We can see sensorineural deafness, tinnitus, and uh, difficulty in understanding speech disproportionate to the uh, Puton audiometry. Clear? When come to the symptoms of vestibular nerve are imbalance. Clear? Then so now the tumor has extended from internal auditory canal to cerebellopontine angle, right? Cerebellopontine angle. When the tumor increases size from internal auditory canal to cerebellopontine angle, then it results in involvement of cranial nerves. Fifth cranial nerve mainly, then ninth cranial nerve, 10th cranial nerve, 11th cranial nerve. Even other cranial nerves also get involved depending upon the size. So when the tumor increases in size anterior superiorly, it results in involvement of fifth cranial nerve. Okay, so when the size increases anterior superiorly, it can result in the involvement of fifth cranial nerve. That means we can see the symptoms of fifth cranial nerve. What are the symptoms that we can see? What are the symptoms of fifth cranial nerve? We can say corneal insensitivity, and numbness or paresthesia of face. Numbness or paresthesia of face. Okay, so when tumor involves fifth cranial nerve, then we can say the size of tumor is 2.5 centimeters. Clear? So when there is involvement of fifth cranial nerve, the size is 2.5 centimeters. Clear? Then even seventh cranial nerve will also get involved. What will be the symptoms of seventh cranial nerve? Seventh cranial nerve, you can say there is one sign here. When there is involvement of seventh cranial nerve, there is sign called Ichelberger sign. Sign called Ichelberger Etzelberger's sign. What is this Etzelberger sign? Etzelberger sign is the hyposthesia of posterior meatal wall. Hyposthesia of posterior meatal wall. Clear? This is a sign seen when there is involvement of seventh cranial. Then other symptoms include reduced lacrimation. Okay, all these symptoms of seventh cranial can be seen. Then other cranial like 9th, 10th, 11th cranial also get involved, right? So now this tumor moves from cerebellopontine angle to brainstem, right? Brainstem. When there is involvement of brainstem, what we can see is weakness or numbness of limbs. You can see weakness of or numbness of limbs, and there is exaggerated tendon reflexes. Exaggerated tendon reflexes. Clear? Exaggerated tendon reflexes. Then, if the size increases, then there will be involvement of cerebellar involvement. Then, if the size further increases, there will be increased intracranial pressure. Clear? These are all the symptoms that we see in acoustic neuroma. Let's revise it. First, uh, if the first there will be tumor where in the internal auditory canal. Then, if the size increases, then there will be involvement of cerebellopontine angle, right? Pontine angle. Then, if the size further increases, there will be involvement of brainstem. Then, cerebellum will also get involved. Then there will be increased intracranial pressure, right? When there is when the tumor is in internal auditory canal, we can see the symptoms involving vestibular nerve and cochlear nerve. When the tumor is in cerebellopontine angle, we can see the involvement of cranial nerves like fifth cranial nerve, seventh cranial nerve, ninth cranial nerve, tenth cranial nerve, and 11th cranial nerve. So even other cranial nerves will also get involved. When the tumor enters into when the tumor presses on brainstem, it can result in increased tendon reflexes, numbness or paresthesia of lower limbs. All the symptoms will be seen. When there is there is further increase in size, there will be involvement of cerebellum, and if there is further increase in size, then it can result in increase in intracranial pressure. Clear? Now let's see what are the investigations that we can do. Okay, investigations. What are the investigations? First one is audiological investigations. Photon audiometry. When you do photon audiometry, we'll see the presence of sensorineural deafness. Second, when we do speech audiometry, we'll see difficulty in understanding, or we can say speech discrimination is poor. Right? And third one is recruitment phenomena is absent. When do we see recruitment phenomena? Recruitment phenomena is seen in cochlear disorders, right? Cochlear, not cochlear nerve. Here cochlear nerve is involved, so we don't see recruitment phenomena. When there is involvement of cochlea, we'll see the recruitment phenomena. Clear? So 3 have been completed. Then fourth is vestibular test. In vestibular test, what we do? We do calorie test, right? Calorie test. When you do calorie test, we'll see reduced response, or sometimes we won't see any response. Clear? So in the vestibular test, there will be reduced response when you do calorie test, right? Next, we'll check for neurological symptoms, right? We'll check we will examine all the cranial nerves. Then we'll do radiological tests. Radiological test. In radiological test, what we do? We do plain X-ray, right? Plain X-ray. We'll do CT scan. Then we'll do MRI. MRI with gadolinium contrast. With gadolinium contrast. This MRI is the gold standard test. Gold standard test. Gold standard test, right? Gold standard test. Then we'll do evoke response audiometry. Evoke response audiometry. In evoke response audiometry, usually when we do evoke response audiometry, we'll get 7 waves. We'll see 7 waves. In these 7 waves, fifth wave is very important to this disorder. In this disorder, there will be delay of 0.2 seconds for the appearance of this fifth wave. Okay, fifth wave appears 0.2 seconds late. Okay, the wave appears 0.2 seconds late, right? So this is evoke response audiometry. This evoke response audiometry is also called BERA. BERA, remember this. Okay, and then we'll check CSF. We'll check CSF, right? So these are all the different investigation that we do. Then moving to treatment. What is the treatment that we do? Treatment. Okay, treatment. So here we'll do surgery. We'll remove surgically, right? Surgery. Then we can also do radiotherapy. But conventional radiotherapy is not useful. Okay, conventional radiotherapy is not useful. Then what type of radiotherapy that we need to do? Here there is special type of radiotherapy called X-knife radiotherapy. X-knife radiotherapy, or it is also called gamma knife radiotherapy. Gamma knife radiotherapy. Here what we do is we'll focus the entire radiation on the tumor. Okay, we'll focus radiation on tumor. Okay, so that minimal injury will cause to the surrounding structures. Okay, there is one more modification of this X-knife radiotherapy called cyber knife radiotherapy. It is also the same radiotherapy, but it is some advancement over this X-knife radiotherapy. Okay, cyber knife radiotherapy. This is something about acoustic neuroma. After watching this lecture, please go through your syllabus. Okay, thank you for watching.